Hi guys, one of the common themes you'll hear from racists and bigots is that they don't like how things have changed. They want to return to a time of their liking, a fantasy period based on some twisted nostalgia. A time when it was good for people like them and not for, say, women, ethnic minorities or gay people. But they also push the idea that change is happening without their consent, which is a ridiculous concept. Change happens all the time and we can't stop it. This point was perfectly explained to an angry racist caller on Matthew Wright's show. Have a listen.
This is the same line that is trotted out every time, and it's done to shut down debate. Far right, far right, far right. It's pathetic. What we are seeing in Ireland and in the Netherlands and various other places across the continent,
the UK,
in the UK, are people, and I am one of them, who are sick and tired of telling mainstream politicians that we are nervous and worried and upset about seeing our countries change before our very eyes without our consent.
You don't like change.
I don't like
country's
change.
Changed. You know, the country's changed. It changes all the time. We're in a process of constant change, and I would suggest that there is a significant rump, mainly older people with conservative views who hate change. And I've got bad news for you, Andrew. You're going to have to suck it up. Life changes. How it changes is what we need to discuss. You can't just stop change and say, I just want it to stay as it was, despite what Nigel Farage may have said in the Brexit debate. I just feel it so strongly that people just don't like change. They see their country changing in front of their eyes and they say, this isn't how I grew up, this isn't how it used to be. But that's how it always is. Change is inevitable. We can make it good or we can make it bad. We've got to make the best of it. But you can't stop change, Andrew. You can't stop it.
Well said, Matthew. Well said. Finally, somebody is saying, you can't stop change. Like, Nigel Farage and the Brexiteers were trying to sell the idea we can go back to the way things were before. We can go back to the good old days. Tapping into this weird nostalgia that people had for the British Empire, for example. But if you go back to the times when Andrew, for example, the caller, wanted, well, the people back then were not happy about how the country had changed back then. People, especially the older rump, as Matthew has said, will always be angry, will always be upset about change. If you go back to the 1950s and ask old people back then, what do you think of the current situation in the country? They'll say, we're not happy with how it's changing. If you go back another 50 years, the same section of society will have the same response. So certain people don't like change. Change happens all the time. As Matthew said, you have to suck it up. Now, what we can change is the future. We can decide what we want to see in the future. We can decide which way the country is going, which politicians we put in power, what policies they implement. We have some power there. We can't change the past. We can change very little of the present, but we can change the future. But once again, the racists and bigots want to go back to a time when they felt comfortable, maybe. But a lot of baggage comes with that as well. We saw it during the debates over helping people out during the last cold period last year. People talk, the nostalgia people had for frost on their windows on the inside, about putting on an extra coat. This talking down to people. Although it was good when I was a kid, we didn't have central heating or hot water or stuff like this. Change happens, deal with it, but embrace it in a way that you can, if you're not happy with how things are going, you can implement change in the future. But we're not going backwards. Well, let's hope we're not going backwards. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.